It's like my husband's like, would you stop laughing? I'm like, it's just, it's called pickleball. You have to laugh.
Yeah, I just play, my friend and I just play for fun too.
Did you? Yeah,
And we
it's so
do laugh
fun.
and talk and-
And be outside and kind of, move around.
Now, the microphone is on. It's better if it's not touched. And just comes, if you just talk past it
Yeah.
a little bit.
Like this.
Can anybody hear her back there?
It's sort of like.
Can you guys
tennis.
hear me? There's the microphone. Okay.
Is it on?
Sorry.
Okay,
Play it later.
all right.
Okay.
If you touch it, it will probably fall.
But if I look at you, then I go away from the microphone. So, okay.
You're
We'll
not
figure
gonna
this
look at
all
me.
out, you guys. I'm not going to now.
So we're going to have kind of a roundtable discussion because Kira wants us all to talk.
Yes.
Yes. So we're going to talk about this book and your previous ones as well, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Not a problem there.
No.
Her last one is on the table also, but this time it's The Widow. And I heard you got a lot of rousing, or your husband did, because the male character is what?
A cheating congressman. Yes.
Which
Which is funny because my husband was a congressman, and so when when his team heard about that, they're like, "Oh no, you can't write about a cheating congressman." I'm like, "Oh no, I already did." So it's coming out right in election cycle too. They're like, "Oh no," but anyway, it's fine. And the New York Post somehow got a hold of the story, so all of a sudden my phone rings and it's like this big time reporter at the New York Post. Kaira Rouda? Yes. Did you write a story about a cheating congressman? And I'm like, I did. And he's like, is this based on fact? I'm like, no, it's based on my time in DC. But then he called Harley and he's like, are you happy in your marriage? He's like, yeah. He did it. And he wrote a whole story like, ex-rep Rouda's wife writes about cheating rep. It was the headline, which was hilarious. I know. I'm like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it's really frightening when you look down and you see New York Post on your phone. You're like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So that was fun.
Well, you might have known something like that would happen. A reporter's not going to miss a chance to create some kind of drama, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which is fine, and actually turned out to be a kind of a nice story, and it was all good. But he just wanted to he's like, my editor just forces me to ask, did he cheat on you? I'm like, Jonathan, would I tell you that? But anyway, so that was fun. That was my fun.
I saw those headlines and I thought, oh, well, the marriage is very stable. It's lasted through all this, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You'll be fine.
31 years. Yep, still going.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I know. Time flies.
And it went too fast, didn't
Right.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
I have a friend here who is 35, right, Pat?
Yes.
Yeah. And we've known each other that length of time, so it kind of hits me hard too when she says, "Oh, it's 35 years."
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
I know. How'd that happen?
Yeah.
I know.
I'm going to go back a little bit because for someone who might not have known you well or have heard all about it, what brought you to writing?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to be an author in third grade when my teacher at the time had us write to the person we wanted to be when we grew up. And so I wrote to Robert McCloskey, Make Way for Ducklings and Blueberries for Sal. And I wrote him and said, I want to be like you when I grow up. And he wrote back and said, I'm an illustrator, not an author, so you should pick wisely next time. But good luck to you, like my poor little Kara. But anyway, so then it took a few decades before I actually got back to the writing thing, but I was always in marketing and did a lot of writing for magazines and newspapers, and then built a business with my husband, but I never had the guts to really sit down and go for it until I wrote a business book for women entrepreneurs, and I was touring the country because that's what you have to do when you write a business book, and I didn't know that at the time. I'm like, everything I know is in the book. They're like, you got to go talk about it. So I'm on stage in Austin, Texas, and this woman raises her hand and she says, so are you living the life of your dreams? Have you done everything that you've always dreamed of doing? I'm like, well, almost, but not quite. I need to write that novel. So then I went back and I sat down and finally made myself do it. And that was Here, Home, Hope, a women's fiction book based loosely on my nonfiction book for women entrepreneurs. So it was about a woman having a midlife crisis, and then she finds all the things that change. And anyway, that was
So
it.
your first book that you wrote was published?
Yes, 2011.
That's amazing. Right
Yeah.
there.
Well, I had other manuscripts that I never showed anybody. Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. This was no. I mean, I would write. I mean, all through life, I would be working on novels, but I didn't ever get the courage to like submit and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've had the pleasure of that for those years. How do you decide what you're going to write?
I really just have found that I just keep getting darker and darker and darker. So every story, like, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's the world. I don't know if it's me, but yeah, every story. They usually start with a character popping into my head and then a title. So in this case, it was Jody, the wife of the congressman, and the original title was The Widow's Mandate. But then they took off the word mandate because they thought everybody was afraid of, or tired of mask mandates and that it would be triggering to people. So it became just the widow. But it is based on the concept of the widow's mandate, which is the tradition where if a person dies in office, either a member of Congress or a senator, they often extend the courtesy, or the tradition is to offer the spouse the chance to fulfill the seat. In the Senate, the governor will appoint the spouse, like Cindy McCain is a recent example, and then in the House side, there's usually a special election, like Mary Bono when Sonny Bono died in that skiing accident. And traditionally, it was just a way for the party to scramble and find the next man to run in the seat. But a lot of cases, women have gone on and had careers as politicians themselves. So like Mary Bono went on for I think 2 or 3 more terms, and so that's kind of fun. I mean, statistically speaking, since the 1920s, the best way for a politically motivated woman to serve in Congress was through a dead husband. So that to me was kind of interesting as a suspense novelist. So
yeah, a motive.
Yeah, that's kind of
Really?
Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your husband didn't die.
No, he's still alive. He will tell you.
Are you interested in running?
No. Oh my gosh, no. It's just no. No. He might again someday, but I'm like, are you sure? It's just so it's hard in a swing district because it's the politics of personal destruction, not so much about what's going on as it is about attacking each other. It's just yes. But anyway.
Yeah. Politics. We're all so tired of politics.
So tired of it. I know. And it's just really, you just want people who are true and will go and work hard for your district, right? And mostly they get people who get things done are moderates, and that's not sexy, but it's true. Like people who work across the aisle and actually think about the people they're supposed to serve as opposed to building their own personal brand, but that's okay. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway, there's that.
I've always been fascinated with the fact that they have offered this to a widow. Because my first reaction was maybe that widow really isn't interested or knows very much about politics, and so what point is it? But the point is that she's holding the seat.
Right.
For somebody.
So yeah, especially if somebody dies suddenly in office and the party hasn't, figured out who they want to run or who's going to be the next. So yeah, it's more of like a ceremonial position. I mean, as I kind of try to pertain.
And they don't expect her to have anything to say.
Right, nothing to say, no committees. It's just kind of like, here you go, you can go sit in the office and kind of, go to the parties, that kind of thing. Yeah.
All right.
I don't have to move quite yet.
Right. Yeah. You just go and, just hold the seat, really, is what you're doing, whether you're just sitting at the desk or sitting in his office someplace, just hold it. Yeah.
Now, your main character, Jody, has a plan in this book.
She does.
Yeah. And
But it's Martin's fault. She has to, create her plan.
All right. How much can you tell us about Jody without giving too much away?
Yeah, well, I mean, she is the spouse of a 30-year incumbent. He's been in office 15 terms, so they're the golden couple on the hill. She feels very much like they're at the top of the social hierarchy. And this weekend, when the story opens, is their only child's wedding, so their daughter's wedding. So she's so excited because everything she's worked really hard to achieve in D.C. socially and politically, power is coming true, except for Martin's messing up. And you actually find that out within the first chapter that Jody is waiting at the Library of Congress for him, and he's late, and he was supposed to meet her and walk her into this fancy congressional dialogue dinner, and he's nowhere to be found. And she's pretty angry by the time we meet her because she's been waiting. And she opens the book with behind every successful man is the ruthless wife who made it all happen, or so they say. And so she's just kind of seething, and she goes on into the party, and she spots Martin across the room talking to his cute young intern, and she's like, this is not going well. This is not, because for somebody that's like, they're kind of a team, and that is not allowed. I mean, that's just not allowed. And yeah, so she's kind of angry.
Okay.
A little
So she's
angry.
got a reason to go forward.
Yes, she does.
Okay. What was your favorite scene in the book?
Well, my most surprising scene, which I can't really tell you what happens, but at the rehearsal dinner, so it was kind of fun because I got to plan a wedding in DC and all these like really fancy buildings, and it's just such a beautiful city anyway, and like you could go to a museum every day and never see it all. But anyway, so I found out that I guess this Congressional Country Club is where like it's very exclusive and very hard to get into. I'm like, oh, we're gonna have a party there. So anyway, so I put the rehearsal dinner there. But during the rehearsal dinner, which is, so Charlotte, the daughter of Jody and Martin, is a Democrat, but she's marrying a Republican. This is just horrible for the whole situation. They're like, how could she love that side of the book? Anyway, so they're at the rehearsal dinner, and someone makes an announcement, which when I was writing the book, I'm like, oh no, you wouldn't do that at a rehearsal dinner, but they did. The character did. So anyway, so that was kind of my favorite thing. But I can't tell you what it is. But
Okay.
it'll spoil it.
Well, that's why they have to read the book.
Yeah, you have to read the book. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that was the most surprising thing. I'm like, no way.
Hopefully you didn't put any thoughts into other people's minds that might be going through the same thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, political spouses do put up with a lot, even if their husbands aren't having an affair or their wives. It's a tough role. I guess I didn't really think about it until I was one, but you go to speech after speech after speech that you've heard before. You are supposed to say nothing but just applaud. You watch your spouse getting attacked and you're not allowed to, say anything. And, and also in a swing district, there's death threats against your family and everything. And so it's just spouses serve too. So now I've been dedicated the widow to the spouses and families of politicians, because now whenever I see one, I'm like, thank you for your service, because they really do serve too, and they give up a lot of family time and a lot of privacy and everything else so that their person that wants to be the politician can be. So anyway,
Yes, I think I often watch them during campaigns, standing by the side and smiling indefinitely. I must feel their face hurts after a while.
yeah, and that's really all you're allowed to do.
Yeah.
I remember when Harley was running for the first term back in 2018, and we're in this big room, and I'm just hiding kind of in the corner, and this woman starts walking towards me, and the campaign manager saw her, and they knew that she was a reporter from LA Times. And she's like making this beeline to me, and she got to me before the campaign person did, and she's like, hi, are you his wife? I'm like, I am. And she's like, we haven't heard anything from you. I'm like, well, that's my job, right? She's like, oh, but look, would you do an interview? I'm like, oh no. And then right then the campaign manager, he's like, you'll need to come through me if you want to talk to us. It's just funny because but that is your job, to just not make any waves. Yeah.
You threw me for a loop because I wasn't prepared for interviewing.
Oh, that's okay.
But
We can chat.
yeah.
These guys might have a question.
Okay. Does anybody
Anybody?
have a question yet?
Stunned silence from the
I
audience.
know.
Okay.
I noticed in all your books some of the characters are not very likable.
Right.
The first one was Paul, and that's it.
Oh yeah, he is totally not likable.
But you do point of view from that. So do you find that fun to write?
Yeah, totally fun. I mean,
Do you have a
my
character like that in this?
yes, Jody's maybe a little bit like that
Okay.
too. Yeah, but hopefully you like her too. Like I find that you have to have some redeeming qualities for your unlikable, or let's say unreliable narrators, but they are definitely, they're people you probably would want to not have sitting behind you. You want to see them and make sure. So yeah, Jody's definitely very driven. She wouldn't call herself ruthless. She would say that would be something that men call powerful women, right? So she's very sure of her power, and just like Paul, she has a very particular worldview. that she will let you know. And she's more, women power than Paul would ever be, of course. Paul was just such a bad guy. But anyway, yeah, and it's kind of fun. My daughter thinks it's weird that I write these scary, creepy people, but it's actually kind of cathartic to work through. So, like, Jody helped me kind of process the whole DC experience, I think, and Paul helped me process, like, all my fabulously horrific male bosses, through my career. So, they all kind of come from someplace like that.
So you're mentioning horrific bosses.
Mm.
What careers were you in, and what did you do that you had such awful bosses?
I don't know how I got so lucky to have such bad bosses. I had, Jay, who was my editor at my first newspaper job, who was literally, and I'm not kidding you, sleeping with the woman that I was in the research department that they hired after me, and my boss, simultaneously with somebody in the sales department. I'm like, ugh. And he was also like on some kind of drug. But anyway, so I couldn't take it anymore. So I went to, we had a woman publisher. So and this is back in the 80s.
Wow.
I go to her and I'm like, can we go to lunch? She's like, okay. So I'm like, I just don't think this is a very healthy work environment. And and I would like say all the things, and he would say stuff like, because I came from this suburb, he's like, we would have personal finance pieces, and he would only let me write about jewelry or just a jerk. Anyway, so I say to Carol, I'm like, this is just not healthy. And she goes, Kara, sometimes it's just time to move on. So I'm like, thanks, Carol. Woman power. See ya. So yeah. So then I had a great boss at a radio station. He was awesome. He was not in Paul at all. But then I went on to an ad agency. Oh boy, Myron, terrible boss, terrible. He had like photos of our secretary, like the receptionist, in bathing suits at his desk, and then we weren't allowed to wear pants. You had to wear dresses, in the good old ad agency world. And I mean, just that's all the tame stuff. Let's just say. So I had to get rid of him. I had to leave there. They fired me because the guy that I worked for had taken a job with another ad agency, and they thought I was going to. I wasn't. So I had no job. Like all of a sudden it was Christmas, and jerk. Then then I had Nancy. She was really nice. She was a woman, and then I went in-house. I had Stanley Steamer Carpet Cleaning as a client when I was at the ad agency, and they asked me to come be their vice president of marketing. First woman to ever have a executive title. You get an office on the wall. I'm like, yes, this will be great, And so, holy smokes, talk about like a whole company of Pauls. Like this was horrific stuff. So then I had to leave. I can't even. There's not enough time to tell you all the stories, but I had to leave there and file a class action lawsuit against them for sexual harassment and gender discrimination. So, yeah, Wes is also in Paul's. So that's just a small rundown of some of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Double wow.
Yeah. Just terrible guys. Anyway.
I think it's because you're a blonde.
No, I don't know what it is. I think maybe the more, I don't know, I've always been pretty strong, especially in business, like, and pretty much a feminist. And I think maybe.
Like that.
Yeah, I think that maybe rubs them the wrong way once they realize what's coming at them. But there's just right, and then there's wrong, right? And it's just, yeah. Anyway, it's a little walk down my past. Okay.
You haven't translated that into a character though.
All those guys?
No, a woman who has been discriminated against that way.
No, not directly, no. I just kind of have their voice and kind of, the way to think of Paul for me is like, I just kind of wrap them all up together and then beat them. So yeah, it's not quite on the nose, it's more subtle. Mm-hmm. Subtle revenge, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I always think that's good. I know that many authors take someone that has really given them a hard time and make them one of the worst characters or kill them off or do something to them in a book.
Yeah, it's
fun. It's cathartic.
Oh, for sure, it's fun. Yeah.
Not giving anything else away, if possible, as you move through the story, what else is going to surprise someone?
I think, I had fun, Jody, when Harley got elected, and we all of a sudden found ourselves in DC, and it's just like this whirlwind of a whole new city, and you're supposed to find an apartment, then you have to learn your way around, and then there's just all this stuff and all these rules, and they had this place called the Congressional Club, which is a bipartisan spouse club, and they had this kind of orientation where they would literally have panels of spouses that have been there like Jody 30 years to tell you, like, don't do this, make sure you do this, you know. It was really cool, and it was like the first place I felt like, I could take a breath. And so I have in the book tips to new spouses from Jody, kind of like what they did at the club, but this is, you know, I just kind of made up what she would say from her perspective to new spouses. So that was kind of fun to think back on all that whirlwind of stuff. Hers get a little mean, let's say, because she's not happy with Martin, so she's taking it out on other people. But anyway.
In real life, did you find that helpful or almost offensive?
What, the tips?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
and dealing with it that way?
So helpful, because it's just a whole nother world. And while it's changing, it's not changing that fast. And I think there are they did give us a how to dress booklet, which was really funny, because I think that was a little 1950s of them. But the other stuff was really helpful, you know, like just kind of, you know, how to work with your husbands or your spouse, because in our class it was like so many women who were elected too, so it was great. So it was they're getting their like little dress for success thing, and it's all women's clothing tips, you know, and they're all like, yeah, thanks. So anyway, there are things that need to change, but all in all, it's like a really welcoming way to kind of make sense of the whole process that you're going through.
Okay.
When you talked about the clothing, I remember Queen Elizabeth and the girls then that came into the family, and weren't they, you know, Kate, whatever her name is, Kate and the other one, aren't they told how to dress? And
Oh,
how
I'm
to
sure.
cross
Yeah.
their legs and things like that?
Oh, yeah.
And that sounds like what you're had to
It's
learn.
similar to that. I mean, I think it has changed, obviously, because, you know, there's more women serving than ever before. So there's male spouses that are like, what the heck is this, you know? Yeah, so it used to be very sorority-ish in my understanding of it all. And I think I don't mean this by any, you know, not saying anything, but on the Republican side, it's almost all still white women, right? So that side can feel a little more sorority-ish, but on the Democrat side, the congressional, the spouses are a huge mixture of people, so it's opening it up a little bit more.
And about time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Any other questions? What's your next? I know you must be working on another book, if not finished with it.
Yeah, it's finished. And it comes out in fall of 2023. I don't have a date yet, but it's back to Orange County. So it's they're calling it Succession meets OC on a mega yacht. So that's kind of the title is Beneath the Surface. So it's a weekend trip to Catalina on a mega yacht, yes, with kind of like a Succession family. They're the Kingsleys, and they're developers in Orange County. So
That should be amazing.
it's gonna be really fun. I hope you guys will like it, because it's a little different than this. It's not as, I guess it's probably not as Paul and Jody-ish. It's more of a cast of characters. So yeah, it's fun.
Well, it's always fun to read a book that's set in our area.
Yeah, and Catalina's fun to visit. So yeah. And, you know, a mega yacht, I just got to look at all these pictures of them.
You didn't get to test one?
No, I didn't get to test drive one, although you can rent mega yachts. I didn't even know that. So then I'm looking at all these ads. Oh, don't worry, Harley, I did not read. Like, just walks in while I'm talking about leasing a mega yacht. Yeah. Like, what is she doing? Anyway, yes. So that'll be fun.
This?
Oh, and that's Callie. That's Harley's
Kaira.
emotional support puppy.
Hi, puppy. Hi, what a sweetheart.
It's been so long. It's been so long, Callie. Like,
Come on, Callie.
oh my goodness. Harley, do you have any questions?
So,
I think Callie headed into the back room.
sorry about that. Callie, come on.
Goodness knows what
Here's a puppy.
She's looking for snacks, is what she looks at. It's a she.
She,
Yeah.
okay.
And she's a puppy, so she's, yeah.
So you already dressed the elephant in the room?
What's that? You?
Yeah. Well, you know, a book about
Oh, cheating
a
congressman.
cheating congressman.
Yes, we
Oh, we
addressed
did
that.
first thing, of course.
Yes, yeah. But the elephant was not in the room. Now you are in the room. So yes, we did talk about the fact that you aren't a cheating congressman. That's good.
Yeah, she made that very clear.
But he does sleep with one eye open, for sure. I know a lot of ways to kill people. I just do. It comes with the job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the next book sounds really exciting too, and of course we want you back for that.
Thank you.
I love anything that's set in Orange County,
Yeah, me
especially
too.
by somebody that knows it so well.
Yeah, it's really fun, and it's really fun. I mean, like I haven't had a. My people have been stuck in the suburbs a lot of times, so The Widow was fun because it got to be in DC in a city setting, and this is fun because my people are getting on a boat and traveling, so it's really fun.
Yeah, and getting to check it out for research.
Research, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I think you have to rent one
I do
because you
too.
need details.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Even though she's already finished the book.
Right. We have a book launch party on the mega yacht. That would be fun.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to work on that. That would be fun.
Yeah, good idea.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. We were going to have a little contest with these, but there's enough for everybody.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
And
So my bookmarks just came in, and so so I have to hole punch them and then stick a tassel. Well, my tassels didn't come, but I have these, but they're
which are escaping.
so they're
think
flinging
there's one
themselves
down
off
here
one by one. So if you have a tassel, please add it. If not, you'll just have a hole at the top of my new. Yeah.
Because we're losing it.
See how they just they're just unraveling themselves. I'm like, why are you doing that? But they were festive for a while, so anyway.
And I know the tassel is somewhere.
So you got an empty. Yours is on the floor someplace.
Well, it's either right here at my feet because I was manipulating them, but we'll find it.
We'll
It'll
find it.
turn up.
Yeah, it's around
Alright.
someplace.
Love having you. Always
thank
enjoy
you.
it. You're a light when you come in. It's,
Well, thank you.
Uh,
On a
and
cold day.
I just think it's wonderful that you do what you do.
Oh,
Don't we
thank you.
enjoy her?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, you guys. I enjoy being here. It's fun.
Yeah.
Really fun. And I'm glad to see you smiling again. I hate it. Like Somebody's Home came out and it was still like pandemic, and Anne had to be like all the way across the room, and I came in to sign stuff and we're like in our masks. Not so fun.
Standing
Yeah.
at least 5 feet
I
apart.
know. I know.
But you had that cute little dog in
Yeah,
your
Tucker.
lap to
Yeah,
help you.
That's my dog, but he's at home because he's cold and old. So I'm like, I'm gonna go do my book thing. You stay home. And Harley's like, Callie's coming. I'm like, well, of course, Callie always comes everywhere, but it's okay.
Well, Hallie is adorable.
Oh yeah, she's great.
All that curly hair, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to tell us? What? Any news on? Is anybody looking at you for doing a TV script or
Oh
something?
my gosh. Well, I call it the Hollywood hustle. Every once in a while, you get like an interest and then they just go away. I'm like, my daughter and I wrote a pilot script for The Favorite Daughter, which was really fun.
Okay.
And we've had a little Hollywood hustle interest in it, but I can't say anything will ever go anywhere with it. But we really like the script, and we send it to script contests, because my daughter is a screenwriter and she has films and all that, and she understands the world. And I'm like, I want one of those things to put on it. And she's like, a laurel? I'm like, yeah, I want a laurel. So she's like, well, we have to enter contests. I'm like, well, let's do that. And we ended up winning like every one that we entered. So now we have like 4 laurels that we put on. It's very exciting. I know, and I printed out my laurel, and she's like, Mom, you're so ridiculous. You don't print out your laurel. You just put them on your script. I'm like, I'd have to make them tangible. It's fun.
That sounds like a daughter.
I know. She's, yeah.
But how wonderful that you did something together like
Yeah.
that and it worked.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's so great because we just finished The Next Wife as a movie, which was really fun to write together. And she is very slow and deliberate on every word choice. And I'm like this. So we use this program called Final Draft, and so you can collaborate. And she'll say, Mom, I need you to look at the dialogue on page 10. And then I'll just start there. And the next thing you know, I'm like on page 40. And she's like, where are you? Slow down. She's still like on the same sentence that she was working on. I'm like, you are so slow. She's like, you are so fast. But it's great because it's a good balance.
I can't offer you any help. My daughter and I do the same thing. We're worlds apart. I was telling Steve about that. To her, it has to be perfect. To me, it just has to be okay.
Right. Just get through it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no hope.
Right. And then, but she, like, after I do all that, then she'll just take away the collaboration bar from me. She's like, I'll be back. I need to go fix some things. I'm like, oh, fine, whatever. But I know how to do the dialogue part, but I don't know how to do, like, they have very jaunty descriptions of each scene that have to be really cool and concise. So that's what she's
And
great
kind
at
of
that.
blend it together and make it
mhm,
flow.
yeah.
Yeah, flowing is good.
It's good. So
Okay, I want to thank you so
Oh,
much
thank
for
you.
making the time to come down here and be with us. And I know
Absolutely.
people have books to be signed.
And I am the person to sign them.
Okay.
Okay.